start this up.
British internet is not slow. How dare you? I have like 15 meg of internet, but just somewhere in the middle, it's all getting a little bit confused. All right, we are finally in the games. This is probably the longest time I've ever spent before the game started on any cast ever, and I think this is probably some kind of a record. This is like the biggest technical difficulty ever, but finally we are here. We are watching the show match, the magnificent show match, of course, which features the ISL 3 winner from yesterday, ISL Sziky, spawning in the top right-hand corner as the purple Zerg player, showing us some fantastic games yesterday and throughout the entire tournament, and now giving this much-deserved honor of playing a game against our player in the top left-hand corner, the ex-Samsung Khan pro gamer, minus Eagle, spawning in as the brown Protoss. So I can't say I've watched a huge number of minus Eagle games. Do you have any idea of what playstyle he shows, or any kind of tendencies of his at all?
I have also not seen a whole lot of minus Eagle games.
Okay.
So, certainly not enough to be able to determine a pattern, but that is a peculiar spot for a pylon.
I think that's still valid. Yeah, it's very weird, but
Do you still make a wall like that, or is he going to go
Yeah.
2-gate?
I think you could probably still make a wall. Some people choose to do weird stuff like that. He might be going for 2-gate, I'm not sure. Interesting scouting path as well. I guess he was going to look for the Overlord to check if Sziky was sending it from the top right to the top left first, just so he made sure he didn't get scouted first, which is always very, very sensible. So he's not going to get scouted first, and he might be able to see this Overlord going across the map now if he's changing his scouting pattern, but it doesn't look like he's going to. So straight to the bottom right-hand corner. Excuse me. Now drone's heading out to make up a little bit of 12 hatch activity for Sziky, and a second drone heading out now as well to get the scout on the Protoss.
I'm just infatuated with his building placement. Okay, he's going to be able to put the forge here, then gateway here, and that's going to be tight. But the issue
that's gonna be good.
the issue is he's going to put the cannon on top of the forge, but lanes are going to go around the left side, so the cannon's actually not going to shoot at lanes very much.
He can put it behind the gateway instead. That's all right.
He can't put it directly behind the gateway because he doesn't have pylon power there.
Ah, yeah, of course. Yeah, sorry, my bad. It should still be okay, I think. It shouldn't be too much of a worry. It looks like he's going to go cannon second. Okay, he puts the cannon in the middle. That makes a good amount of sense. So Zealots can still pass in and out. Because I think, yeah, he's not quite sure whether he's facing down against a 12 hatch or not. So he wants to be nice and safe, making up the cannon first. Where is the probe? Okay, the probe's now going back to the cross positions, and it's frustrating for Eagle that in the end this is actually the least efficient scouting pattern possible, to go cross positions and then cross positions again. Only one scouting path later, so that's a little bit unfortunate. So he scouts Sziky quite late, and he's going to have to make a cannon, whereas he might not want to make one otherwise. This is quite interesting how he's made the gateway next to the forge. I guess this is so that the cannon isn't blocking him disadvantageously. I would imagine he'd make the gateway to the left-hand side just so it would form a block with the cliff, but to each his own.
He doesn't have pylon power that far.
Of course not. I'm constantly getting confused. Okay.
Yeah, that's why that pylon placement was so weird. And if he was to defend against any kind of Hydralisk play, he'd need to build another pylon there, which isn't that big of a thing, but it's just... That's a really funky decision.
That is a very, very funky decision. I'm sure he knows what he's doing, and it does leave more cannon space for defending against busts and stuff. So you can have a big flat cannon line for defending against Hydra busts and whatnot. Whereas if the cannon was further over to the left, then it wouldn't be quite so advantageous. Where it's going to form a really nice defensive line, should he so need it. But I wouldn't imagine Ziky's going to go for any Hydra bust. That would be very, very odd of him to go for any kind of cheese. A player who very rarely cheeses and is incredibly confident playing through the mid game. I imagined he might have something a little bit different to show against a player such as minus Eagle, whom he might be a little bit afraid of. But it looks like he's going to go standard into the mid game. His lair is well on the way now as well, not too far from completion. And Eagle looking to do similarly standard play, although having said that, begins the early +1 Zealot weapons, so it's probably going to be a little bit of a Zealot poke out onto the map and the Citadel before Stargate as well. So Sziky should probably get that Overlord making his way into the main and get that scouted.
Yep, and it looks like he is. Meanwhile, Sziky has his lair up, has his first 3 hatcheries up, and there is the Spire. This is once again going to be the exact same build we saw him do in just about all of his games versus Dodie during the finals yesterday. If you did not catch the ISL 3 finals, I highly recommend it, not just because I'm an ISL caster, but it was an absolutely fantastic series, and anybody who saw it
Yeah.
would tell you so.
It was absolutely incredible. I mean, I was not casting it, but I was watching it intently from the start to finish, and superb games all around. The Pro Scout does get taken out, so minus Eagle a little bit more in the dark, and the Zergling speed kicks in. He's got quite a high number of Zerglings. Is he going for some kind of little bit of a break? I wouldn't imagine he would, because there's no real way through for him. So the Sziky is going to be unsuccessful here as long as minus Eagle keeps himself straight, which I'm sure he will. Very, very used to handling himself under high pressure situations. The Link's going in for a little bit of a crack now. They might try and pick off that Zealot, but the Cannon is well placed. The Zealots are all well placed, so those Links turned away without calamity. Very, very safe stuff so far from Eagle. Sziky now going on up to a third base as well. That is now hatched, beginning to get some drones up down there as well. And still completely standard stuff from him. He does see the +1 weapons on the way in though, and I hope he saw just how early that was so he could be well prepared. 2 gateways up now in Eagle's main as well, with the Zealot speed upgrade about halfway done.
Yep, and this is going to be a very strong attack. Excuse me, coming out from Eagle, getting those gateways up very quickly, skipped a Stargate altogether just to get that speed out as fast as possible. So the +1's going to be a little bit delayed compared to the speed, but only slightly. Everything else is going to line up quite well, and he's going to be able to come in with just short of control group of Zealots. Oh, and he's actually going to move out a bit before Speeder +1 finished. As you can see, still has a ways to go, but just getting as early of a jump as possible. Nice snipe by Sziky there, picking off one of the Zealots, and he's really going to need to do that because this is a scary push. But without speed, they certainly are susceptible to those. Oh, speed just kicks in, so it's going to be difficult for him to do it again. Mutalisks are out, though, and Mutalisks are going to do a great job at deterring these away, although Mutalisks don't do a whole lot of damage, so they might be able to focus down something if Sziky has nothing else to help out here. And Zelds are going in and focusing on the Sunken Colony a bit. Some of them went away, but it doesn't look like they're going to get it. Ooh. No, 34 hit points left. And that was a disaster on attack with minus Eagle. He killed like 2 Zerglings.
I think we can safely say that this has been a pretty successful defense for Sziky. I mean, a couple of Zerglings and most of the health off one Sunken Colony is no biggie whatsoever. He does have the 2 Stargate Corsair follow-up coming in now, so he should be safe against the Mutalisks at least. But yeah, not the best position for him at this stage. He'd want to have done at least some damage with the Zealots. A few more Zealots going down to the bottom, however, the kind of 6 o'clockish base, so he might be able to do some decent damage there. There's only one Sunken Colony ready and waiting for them, a second one coming in now, but that may be a little bit too late. The Overlord does see the Zealots on the way in though, so I would imagine Sziky's going to be able to get those Mutas back in time. Not necessarily to save the one Sunken, but probably to save most of his drones and definitely to save the hatchery.
Yep, some of the Zealots focusing on the Sunken, but smartly, Eagle's going to split a couple of them off to try to get drone kills. Sziky doing some nice evasion there, only loses 1, and Eagle's going to be turned back yet again. It's going to cost him 3 Zealots and a 4th, and maybe even the 5th if the Mutalisks can catch up to that last one. So any aggression Eagle's put on has been completely shut down. Sziky could not hope for a better opening at this point.
Yeah. This is a fantastic opening so far from Sziky. I mean, the 2 Stargate Corsairs are going to kick in soon, but he seems to be producing quite slow. He's still only got 3 Corsairs up and running, so it's going to be a short while before they're really useful. Okay, he's got 4 Corsairs up already, so very soon they'll be making themselves thoroughly useful against his Mutalisks. But this still leaves a little bit of a window open for Sziky. He now sees the Corsairs, and he's going to know that he needs to back off, losing 1 Mutalisk for the cost of 1 cannon. That is cost efficient, and the +1 air weapon is going to be happening in a second as well for minus Eagle. So Sziky's going to have to be just a little bit conservative with those Mutalisks, but they've already served a pretty useful job in deterring those Zealots quite so easily and cheaply. And this is going to leave him feeling quite free in the mid-game as long as he's confident in his scourging of the Corsairs and his ability to keep them at bay.
Yep, +1 has finished with the Corsairs, and there are a good number of them out already, so this Corsair fleet is actually going to be the biggest thing Sziky has to worry about at this point in the game. They're going to come in here, only a couple of Scourge though, it's not going to be too hard to take those out at all. Sziky doesn't have his Hydralisks out yet, so these Corsairs are actually going to be able to do some damage here. The Mutalisks can kind of deter them away, but Sziky needs to try to avoid a straight-up fight. It won't end up very well for him if he doesn't have an amazing split on his Mutalisks.
Yeah. It would end up very, very badly indeed. That's a strong Corsair fleet flying around, and that's the thing about 2-Stargate Corsair. It may seem a little bit tame in terms of actually getting motility through the game, but it's actually really, really good for killing stuff that's in the air, and that's exactly what it's going to do. A lot of Scourge are happening in here. I think the Corsairs are going to have to turn back, but Sziky's going to be unable to catch those Corsairs, of course, and is just going to have to wait for a decent position. He really needs to not lose those Scourge, and definitely not to lose those Mutas too freely. Hydralisk is definitely going to be a major help. He's got a couple of Spore Colonies up as well, but 1 or 2 Spore Colonies not going to be enough to deter the Mutas by the Corsairs, by themselves, because that is a very, very powerful fleet right now. But Sziky, with fantastic map vision, positioning Lings all over the place, which are, of course, invulnerable to the Corsairs, with an Overlord floating into Minus Eagle's perspective third now, he'll know exactly where he stands.
Yeah, and Eagle making just a slight mistake there. He wanted to try to sneak some Dark Templar out so that Sziky wouldn't know about it, but Sziky happened to have an Overlord there, and he definitely saw those Dark Templar. So nothing's being kept hidden from Sziky at this point. Sziky with just amazing map spread as we saw all series long versus Doty.
Yeah. Oh, the Corsairs are about to get caught. So many Scourge land, but I think they might have not landed as efficiently as they possibly could. A huge fleet of Scourge landing and only taking out 1 or 2 Corsairs in the end. And that is not as cost efficient as Sziky needed or wanted to be. So he sacrificed pretty much his entire air force for relatively little return. He might be able to pick off 1 or 2 Corsairs right now, but that was a lot of Scourge going down, and it seems to do relatively little. Didn't see many Corsairs fall at all, whereas I thought they were all going to go down right there. So quite nice stuff right there for Eagle, and that's the kind of break he needs to get to really get back into this game. And now we can see just how strong those Corsairs are against Overlords. 2 Overlords taken down almost instantly. Sziky's ground army is strong, however, and he could have some ability to get in there and do a little bit of a bust on the third base and just stop that from happening too easily if Minus Eagle gives him the space and time to do so.
Yeah, Minus Eagle does not actually have a lot of defense against those Hydralisks. He's so tied up in his air army, invested so much in it. These Hydralisks could do a lot of damage, certainly stopping the third, maybe even going for a bust on the natural if Eagle is not careful. Meanwhile, we do have a shuttle coming in. It's going to drop off 4 Zealots. There's only a Sunken Colony back to defend, but I think the Sunken Colony will be able to buy enough time for Hydralisk to get down there. Yeah, we have 5 Hydralisks moving down. It should be able to take them out. Meanwhile, the Hydralisk going in, going to be able to shut down the third, and an Overlord finally comes over. Gonna pick off the Dark Templar as well. So Sziky keeping Eagle on 2 bases. Meanwhile, microing a little bit with the Hydralisk back home. He did lose the Sunken Colony, but more than worth it to take care of that drop. Ooh.
Yeah, I thought the Corsairs were all going to get caught there, but only one of them getting caught. Still, that chips away at Minus Eagle's Corsair fleet quite nicely for Sziky, so his Overlords just not looking so vulnerable as they once did. And that was exactly what I was hoping Sziky's going to do. He's actually got a good position on the front right now. He needs to make sure he doesn't lose his Hydras too easily, though, because it's very stormable right there for Eagle. But Eagle, very well contained at this point, leaving Sziky free to get a 4th base up, possibly look to a 5th fairly soon, and he's going to be able to tech quite freely behind this.
Yeah, I don't think that Sziky knows exactly how weak Eagle's front was, because there were really only 2 Templar there. And we saw Sziky pull back those Hydralisks very early to try to storm dodge. Unfortunately, he stormed at different locations, so it didn't quite work out for him. But still, Sziky, if he had pushed in a little bit earlier, I think he had a good window to do a lot of damage just because of how heavily Eagle has invested in the Corsair fleet. But now pulling back, and now it's going to be pretty hard to get in. In fact, there are a lot of Zealots out, a lot of High Templar, and he's going to load up yet another drop, this time with 2 High Templar, 2 Zealots. And Sziky, well, he does have some Hydralisks laying in wait, so if Eagle's not careful, he could end up getting that sniped.
Yeah, and spotting Ling. Ooh, the spotting Ling, I think it might just have missed the shuttle right there. And the shuttle going along the top of the base where it's going to be invisible to those Hydralisks until it gets all the way in. There is, however, a Spore Colony and a Sunken Colony, so he should be safe for the time being. Dropping down this High Templar right on the edge of the base, that does reveal his hand to Sziky. The shuttle now has speed kicking in, so he should be able to escape with both of those High Templar intact, but unable to do the economic damage which he would have wanted to do. Excuse me, getting my words very, very mixed up there. And now Corsairs heading on into the 4th where there is nothing for them. And Sziky once again is able to split Eagle between his natural and his third, and if he is wise, should be able to go and take out that latest third base attempt.
Yep. Lurkers are out for Sziky, and he is going to spread them out very nicely to avoid taking too much damage from a storm. I think he might even spread them out good enough to not allow a single storm to hit 2 of them even. But Hydralisk moved down, more importantly, taking out this third base, continuing to keep Eagle on just 2. And how close is Eagle to mining out? He's getting very close in the main, the natural rather close as well. So Eagle is working with a very hard time limit here. He does not have a huge bank of minerals. He's been keeping up his production. but it means that he's gonna have one, maybe two more attempts to get out. Oh,
I would say one. Oh, that's a lot of DTs, but the DTs mostly getting taken down. However, the lurkers are pretty much finished. So that's a decent way of weakening the contain right there. Good job by Eagle. And now it's his time to push out. I really do feel he's only got one, maybe two big pushes in him at all. Nice storm, though, putting those Hydralisks back. And he's now taking down all the lurkers, and Sziky is now on the run. More lurkers coming in from the back, though, and he's fighting against the largely speed zealot force, so he should be able to deal with that for the time being. All his lurkers very, very clumped. If a storm goes down on those, it would be absolutely brutal. Eagle just not seeing that. That would have been incredibly horrible for Sziky to lose all of those lurkers right there, but he does manage to maintain them. And to all you naysayers out there who said that this was going to be horrible for Sziky, I urge you to hold your tongues for just a second, because Sziky is looking pretty good if he can defend off this push. But this is a big push indeed. This Eagle looking strong as he heads out across the map.
Yeah, Sziky took a risk there, and he tried to go and snipe the Observer, keep his lurkers alive. Didn't quite work out, so his Hydralisks were not in a good position. But now these lurkers are very clumped up. He needs to be careful. Oh no, storming on 5 lurkers. Huge damage, and the Zealots just come in and clean up. A big mistake by Sziky there to not split up his lurkers, and now Eagle has taken out Zeke's entire forward army. Sziky, I assume he's on Hive. Yeah, he's on Hive now, but he's lost a lot of his forces. He has remacroed a pretty big army, though, off of his 4 bases, and will be moving out once again with his Hydra Lurker Ling. But Minus Eagle is now very safe to take that 3rd base, which was really Zeke's trump card in this game if he was going to be able to hold it off. But now Eagle's going to be able to extend this game just a little bit longer.
Yeah, he's going to be able to extend it. Not necessarily to get back in the lead, though. Sziky still has the superior economy, even once that base comes up. Minus Eagle is going to be off 1 base again very soon, now that he's got that 3rd base up. He needed that 3rd base to stay in the game at all. This is still only a lifeline. It is not a lead as of yet. Sziky, once again, has a decent force in the middle of the map, but I don't think it's decent enough. He's going to be needing to be a little bit more convincing than that if he wants to really hold off this force.
Yeah, there is a shuttle threatening two High Templar in it. I do believe the Lurkers saw it, though.
Yeah.
And will the Scourge catch it? No, it looks like the Scourge are actually taking out the Corsairs. So there will be nothing, big battle going down the middle of the map. Again, Lurkers getting caught by a single storm. And it's going to be cleaned up relatively easily. Reinforcements coming in, though. Does he have crack on the Lings? No, he does not have crack on his Lings yet. The shuttle's coming in. Yep. Going down on that 3rd base. The drones are very clumped up. There's good saturation here. Brutal storm, taking out a lot of drones, immediately morphing into the Archon, but the damage has been done. And a great storm drop by Eagle.
Yeah, I don't really see how much better Sziky could have responded. He saw it, immediately pulled as many of his drones away as possible, and he did manage to escape with a few. So he can remake that quite quickly. The Archon looks like, they might survive for a second, but it's going to go down pretty quickly. And Eagle pushing out into the middle of the map again. He is being very, very tenacious with his army. I mean, he's really not letting go. I think Sziky's taken unnecessarily heavy losses so far as well due to his lurker positioning. Will those lurkers be out in time? It looks like they might just pop. He needs to spread them as quickly as possible, otherwise he runs the risk of having yet another horrible storm raining down on top of him. And once again, a poor lurker spread from Sziky. Look at how clumped they are. And Eagle knows it and is able to storm out 3 of them at once. And the 10th last night, but the damage has been done. Eagle, however, being pushed back still. But Sziky really needs to have that production rolling. He's going a little bit high on his minerals, so I'd be slightly concerned that he's not going to have the wherewithal to hold this off if he doesn't macro slightly better.
Yeah, man, you definitely said it. Sziky really getting held back in this game just because of his clumped lurkers and Eagle being able to do so much damage against it. And Eagle now down at the bottom left, taking his 4th base, and with the 4th base with the Protoss, that's definitely what he needs to not only get back into this game, but take a lead if Sziky's not able to counter it, because Sziky is only on 4 bases himself.
Yeah, I'm surprised we don't have the crackling upgrade yet. I was expecting those Lings to do huge damage, but he doesn't have the upgrade, and he doesn't have it forthcoming either. I think that's a little bit odd for Sziky, because he's had Hive Tech for a short while now, so he should probably have the crackling upgrade at least on the way. But barring that, he's still in a good position. The 4th base, he really would do well to try and prevent that, though. Eagle knows that he needs that base, and is moving his entire army into position until those cannons get up. But Sziky's going to have a pretty rough time getting through all those cannons. Oh, drone fun on the ramp.
Yeah, did you watch that?
Yeah.
The drone was just shooting at the Zealots, and Zealots did not care for a while there. Transferring down some probes to the bottom left base. And Sziky gearing up for a little bit. If the Protoss army gets a little bit out of position, that could definitely do some damage here and take it out. It is going to be enough units, but Zealot sees it, and Minus Eagle's moving his army into position to stop that from doing any damage. I'm in agreement with you about being surprised that there is no crackling upgrade. That's just such an important upgrade, and it's not as if Zyky's ignoring Zerglings. He has a good number of Zerglings out, even getting a +1 upgrade for them. But no crack. I wonder if he just forgot it?
Yeah, he must have done, because he's still not getting it, which is so strange. His hive tech isn't really coming into play at all yet. He's still on Lurker Ling, relatively unupgraded. Only 1 armor upgrade as well, so his unit's looking a little bit soft. Only he actually has +2 weapons on his Hydra, so they are going to be relatively effective. And he's going to try and cut off Eagle from his 4th base again, but Eagle's army moving back into position, and Zyky's Lurker spread is a little bit better this time, and that's a huge number of Lurkers taking up the high ground, and this could be a decent defensive position for Sziky. Very sensibly, Eagle knows that that's probably not going to be too cost efficient to break, and does pull back, and Sziky should probably be reinforcing this position, because that's where his very expensive units all are right now.
Yep, but instead, though, he's going to go for a counterattack. A lot of Ling streaming around the top. Minus Eagle sees it, though. He's sending his units to try to stop that. Oh. But Swarm's going down. And Sziky should be able to do a lot of damage here. He's kind of... Oh, no, he's getting caught by the reinforcements from Eagle. So, no, it doesn't look like they're going to do as much damage as you would think. And, man, there were a lot of Lings under that swarm, but they all get taken out. Sziky did not lose any of his Lurkers, though. He still has all of them alive, in a good position to stop Eagle from getting up there, but he really can't use them terribly offensively until he gets more units in. It looks like a bunch of Cracklings are streaming down to the bottom left, along with more Lurker Ling. Still no crack.
No crack upgrade. Still, he's getting the Ultralisk Cavern, so he's going to get something a little bit heavier in an attempt to do this. But wow, what a lot of Lurkers that is. He's moving a couple more in even to reinforce. He should notice any second now that he doesn't have the crackling upgrade. I'm not sure if he's expecting it to kick in, because maybe he misclicked on his spawning pool. But he should see soon. And it looks like Minus Eagle very mistakenly pushing up, and you can see how fast the Speed Zealots fall. To a Lurker count like that. It is just way too many for him to get up against with anything other than probably just Reavers is probably going to have to be the answer to that, and huge amounts of Storm would probably do the trick too. So that's tough for Minus Eagle, because it's kind of a little bit of a ticking time bomb for how long it is until Sziky can get a big army out and actually start doing some damage to that 4th base. Minus Eagle's army still not looking too huge. He is on 179 supply though against Zyky's 185, so Sziky's still in a pretty commanding position.
Yeah, even if the observers hadn't been lagging in that fight, you're absolutely right. The Lurker's just going to do way too much damage against Eagle's forces there, and it's not worth it. Ooh, mistake from Sziky there. Oh, it was... I thought he just had random Overlords there, but no, 2 of them had Cracklings in them. And 3 Overlords go down, only 1 of them with units in it, but still. Unfortunate that they were all caught out in the middle of the map.
Yeah, massive Overlord drop coming in now as well to the bottom left-hand corner, and this could be Zyky's trump card. He needs to unload that Overlord before it goes down. He's got a Lurker and a Ling in there. That could be really pretty useful. I wonder if he's got any Defilers hanging around here. He does unload that Overlord first and foremost, and that's a big drop, and it looks like he may go for a little bit of a double-pronged attack. Eagle trying to push up that ramp again, but getting pushed back once again. And yeah, he's definitely going to be able to prevent this bottom left-hand base from going up, and he might be able to get a decent position up that ramp as well. Having said that, though, the ramp is blocked, and there's plenty of Psystorm ready and waiting in there, so not quite sure that that's going to be a decent avenue for him. And he should probably lift most of those units back out again, because they're going to be doing relatively little in there. Eagle just looks like he's constantly setting up to try and do some kind of break, and I think this might be it, though. Floating an Observer in over those Lurkers, possibly in readiness for Storm.
Yeah, a little bit awkward for Sziky there, because he was thinking he was going to Doom Drop Eagle's 5th, and then he brings in way too many units to find out, oh, there's actually only a single Nexus here, and it's warping in.
Yeah.
Reverse ramp means that he's not going to have an easy time assaulting from that direction, although if he wants to go for a double-pronged attack later on, those units could help. Meanwhile, Eagle, is he going to move? Is he going to go for it?
Yeah, it's going to be Storm. He's going to soften up the Lurkers first. So there goes the first Storm, catching 2 Lurkers. So 2 Lurkers going down immediately. Actually, that High Templar goes down, but there are so many High Templar coming from the back that he's going to be able to really do some serious damage to this position very quickly. I think that's a bit too much of a Lurker clump, though. Sziky is going to lose a lot of units up here on this high ground, and this is a massive break, and very cost efficient for Eagle there, and that's exactly what he was waiting for. And good job from him in maintaining a lot of his army. But meanwhile, Sziky uses the opportunity to push across the top of the map, and that is an incredible number of units. This is what maxed out Zerg looks like. You do not get to see this every day. That is a huge cloud of stuff, and Minus Eagle's main base is in some serious trouble. He needs to divert his army or will he go for a base race situation? No, that would be utterly awful of him, so he is turning back and he's going to try and defend. But, oh, Eagle doing another fantastic job cleaning up the counter-attack. He's just being incredibly cost-efficient right now against Sziky.
Yeah, look, Eagle was a little bit lucky on the timing there for Dark Templar coming out at the perfect time before the Overlords could get there. They managed to kill off 8 maybe lurkers before Sziky really had a chance to react to it. Oh, that was just a lot of damage done by Templars coming out, and now Sziky almost immediately remaxed again. I'm really surprised to see the lack of hive units. I don't think he has crack yet. He does not have crack. We've seen
still doesn't.
Yeah, we've seen very little Defiler play, and that's the first Ultralisk. So really, Sziky has been fighting with Lair Tech units this entire time against Eagle. It's really what allowed Eagle to be successful here. Swarm going down will keep Eagle back. Whoa!
Oh, complete misstorm there. Storming out 2 of his own High Templar and immediately trying to morph them into an Archon upon seeing it, but too late, damage done. Both the High Templar go down, but Eagle is looking scary, trying to get this push up onto the high ground. Zyky still with no more Defilers in there, so he's not going to be able to hold off these Dragoons for too much longer, especially since Dragoons are so incredibly good against Ultralisks. Reinforcing a lot from down at the bottom though, but it's only Lings, and I think he still doesn't have the crack upgrade. I don't know why he doesn't have this. It must be a case of forgetting it, but the Ultralisks are going to go in now, but they're going to get taken down so quickly. A few Zerglings as well, but imagine how different that would be if the crack upgrade is. It might be enough for Sziky though, coming in with so many extra Zerglings, as Minus Eagle tries to reinforce as well, but he is going to be pushed back, and not the best storms we've seen from him all game, as he gets forced back towards his main base. And Zyky still in that bottom left-hand corner, shutting down the 5th base, is definitely going to really start frustrating Eagle as he wants to get his economy in better shape.
Yeah, Eagle running into the same situation he had earlier in this game, where he actually needs to be thinking about taking another base, not for better economy, but just because for fear of mining out. The 3rd base he took, getting very close. That 4th base he took, less than half. So
yeah.
He needs to figure out another way. Probably the best option is going to be taking out the small force that Sziky left over from that drop. Oh, man. Trying to attack up that small ramp very rarely works on this map. There's usually great defense up there, and Plague hitting some of the units.
I mean, it's incredibly weird that Zyky still doesn't have the crack upgrade. He should have seen it a million times now. He should have seen that his Lings are not half as strong as they probably should be. He's still in a decent position, but if he had the crack upgrade, he'd be able to just flood this with Lings and be able to do really, really nicely. Oh, big storm going down the bottom left-hand corner, taking care of 3 lurkers at once, and there is no good reason why Zyky would have those all clumped together. And now some DTs finally coming in. He's going to be able to clean that 5th base out, and he's going to be able to get it up and running at long last. And Zyky, I think that upgrade's really, really telling. If he had that upgrade, he'd be making much more of a dent in this this stage of the game. But still, Eagle not in the best shape, and still Zyky has a good enough position, but he needs more economy as well. He's getting that right-hand base up. He has the top base up as well, so he's still mining off a couple of bases, but not quite as rich as once he was, not quite as numerous either. His supply count now standing at 156 versus 155.
Yep, Zyky streaming a lot of units along that top corridor yet again, and Minus Eagle trying to get into a position, but he actually has a lot smaller force than he had in other times, and Zyky has a lot higher tech to try to combat it, scourging the shuttle, nothing in it though, and moving in with these Ultralisks to forward the charge. It looks like, oh man, the reinforcements caught yet again, and will all be taken out, but is this a drop? Or these? No, it's not a drop, these are just
Overlords.
Yeah, just detection Overlords. And the Ultralisks, they can't live that long against all those Archons and DTs.
Yeah, and they don't. In fact, they do go down. Zyky's just having so much trouble keeping, doing any damage to Minus Eagle and keeping his economy down as well. We can see that the 5th base is coming up for Eagle now, and he's looking good to take a 6th too. Defended heavily by DTs. Will the Lings be enough though? I don't think they will, especially not without crack. That upgrade is so important. With crack, those Lings may have been enough, but the DTs making such light work of them. A few Overlords heading down at the bottom left-hand corner, so they should be able to take out what's waiting for them there. Maybe there's an Archon, a High Templar, and a DT or two, scourging out all the observers as well as they come in. So Zyky might be able to take down that Nexus, but with the crack upgrade to make all the difference. So much Storm though still stored up in this High Templar. I mean that everything that comes out of the Overlords goes down pretty much immediately. And what can Zyky do?
Yeah, I mean, I think he might have had more success there if he dropped more than 8 cracklings. but almost all of those overlords were empty, and that's why the drop did almost no damage. He was looking for a really easy kill, but Minus Eagle keeping just the leftover Archon, and that was more than enough. You know what Sziky can do? He can finish that crack upgrade. It's now at 90% done.
Oh, so man, that has been a long time coming.
Yeah, he will have crack. He already has 3-3 on the Lings, 3-5 on the Ultralisks, and he will now have a very scary army. And we're going to see the dramatic difference of what that upgrade does. Quite possibly the best upgrade in all of StarCraft.
Oh, another big storm going down, catching 3 lurkers. He just keeps clumping them up. He does not learn from his mistakes. Now the crackling upgrade comes in, and here he is, finally able to make a good dent on the army of Eagle, and look at the difference that makes. The cracklings all go down, but they do an incredible amount of damage before they in fact fall eventually. Sziky is now supply block though, and his supply only seems to be going down as the game wears on, so he's going to start getting a little bit damaged as time continues. And his army just not looking as strong as it once did. He does continue to prevent the expansion attempts down in the bottom left-hand corner, though. The very bottom left-hand corner base is now finally up. So Eagle's economy is booming once again. He's on 2 mining bases. And yeah, his economy is looking in decent shape.
Looks like Sziky going in for another very small drop. Just 7 units, 2 Ultralisk 5 Zerglings. And it's not enough to deal with what's here. So Sziky, well, he's going to be able to retreat. He's going to try to retreat. He loaded up one of the Ultralisks, but I don't think he's going to be able to get out. Yeah, just lets it go down again.
Makes good sense. I mean, there wasn't really any way those Overlords were going to be able to make it out with these Corsairs coming in. Those Corsairs have been alive for so long, and they've been a real thorn in Ziki's side as he's attempted to get rid of the bottom left-hand base, and it hasn't really worked out for him at any point. The only point at which it managed to actually get rid of the base when there was nothing really there at all, so it was relatively ineffectual. And Eagle once again with another big army, 163 supply army versus the 130 supply of Sziky, and supply block once again because of the expensive Overlord dropping attempts. And Eagle's looking scary. That army is big, and with Sziky's slightly questionable lurker positioning, I'm not sure that he can defend, but I'm not sure it even matters because he has pretty much nothing defending down at the 6 o'clock position. He has no units in whatsoever, just a few sunken colonies and a spore colony easily able to be dealt with at this point.
Yeah, the top right expansion in the bottom right looks a little bit more secure. Storm going down, but it's really only hitting the Overlords. That is a lot of Protoss units to have to deal with. Minus Eagle also pretty good on the upgrades. 3-2, not quite as high as Sziky's are, but it doesn't matter when you have that many Archons, that many Templar.
Yeah, it really doesn't. I mean, that's a good army. 3-2-0 is strong upgrades at any stage of the game. The Ultralisks are now +5 armor, so they're going to be pretty hard to get rid of. And that's a lot of Ultralisks coming out of Ziki's natural right now. I didn't even realize he was making those. That is a big army for both of these guys, and we could see a pretty big square off right here. I don't know who I'd fancy to take this, but I think both of them are going to actually go for it. Ziki's going to go in. He needs a good position, though, and he does get a good position. That's a nice concave for him. Minus Eagle a little bit late to the party. It could just be enough for our Zerg hero right here, but Minus Eagle's army is strong, and oh wow, so many Ultralisks going down. That is a lot of Ultralisk blood, and Minus Eagle's army looking incredibly strong in that engagement. Only Speed Zealot's really dying, and Sziky's going to have to pull back, having lost a lot of his Ultralisks and a lot of his standing army in total. I'm surprised he still doesn't have Nidus Canals up as well. He may want to look into getting that quite soon, otherwise he's going to be moved around the map an awful lot with a big ball of army and no real mobility to speak of.
Yeah, Sziky jumped the gun on that one. He had less than a control group of cracklings to accompany those Ultralisks, and they all died to a single storm, so really it was just pure Ultralisks, and that is not a cost-efficient way for Zerg to go about this.
Not at all.
Yeah, he needs to get that better ratio. Just looking at the composition of Eagle, Swarm will shut so much of that down, completely negates the Dragoons, to a large extent negates the Archons, taking away their main attack.
Yep.
And man, I'm really surprised we don't see any Defilers coming out from Sziky.
No, I think I just did see some pops somewhere. I don't know where they've ended up. Okay, they're down kind of near the bottom right-hand corner base. A little bit of a drop coming in at the 12 o'clock as well, but I think Sziky actually managed to get away from it relatively unscathed. He has a Defiler at his natural now as well, but he needs to get into position to deal with this army. He has those 3 Defilers sitting there, now devouring one another and Overlords as well into the bargain, because he knows just how urgent his need is to defend. and he really doesn't have much time. Once Eagle decides to go, that army is going to move very, very quickly through whatever stands in its way. Sziky has to be prepared at all fronts. Coming in for a flank now with a lot of Ultralists. It looks like he may run into some difficulty, but he does get the swarms down, and this is what he needs to do in order to push this army back. He might finally have the position to get rid of so many of these Archons, but he's run out of swarm at a critical moment. The Dragoons might just be going down, though the Ultralists are relatively strong, and I think Sziky's going to be able to hold this off, at least temporarily. He just still does have one Defiler in there, but it's got no energy. It looks like Sziky is able to push the Protoss forces back. If he can get down to the bottom middle left-hand side of the map, he might be able to take out that latest expansion attempt as well, which will leave Minus Eagle on one mining base, and Sziky might still have this. He does manage to get rid of the core of that big Protoss deathball that we've had rolling around the map for so long. Still a little bit of a supply lead for Minus Eagle, but not nearly as bad as it has been in recent times throughout this game. Sziky clawing his way back after losing a major advantage in the early mid-game.
Yep. Pretty good engagement for Sziky. He didn't quite manage to kill off all the Protoss forces, but taking out a lot of it helps. Really the issue was not enough cracklings in that fight. I don't like his ratio of Ultralist to cracklings. And,
no.
Well, now he doesn't have enough Ultralists.
Now it's mad, yeah.
But, yeah. And Zeke's lost so many Overlords this game. Every time he goes for drops, he brings an extra 4 Overlords and ends up losing them all anyway. He brings a lot of Overlords for detection, and it's kept Sziky relatively in check in terms of his supply, because we saw throughout this game he's been supply blocked so often.
Yep.
Man, and you're right. Those Corsairs that just lived forever, they definitely are they definitely took a toll on his Overlord count. And now there's a Dark Archon out. Not going to be able to do a whole lot here. One of those Overlords has Zerglings in it, and dropping them.
Oh, the Storms are not as good as they have been in recent times, morphing into an Archon now, but I think Sziky might have the strength to pull through. He's only mining off 2 bases now versus Minus Eagle's 1, so it's not a hugely advantageous position for him. He just has to try and keep Minus Eagle divided and keep his army small. That last Ultra finally getting taken down, but there are more cracklings coming in, and they're going to be able to deal with that Archon and that High Templar, I'd imagine, if he can get a good surround, which in fact he probably can. Will the Archon go down? No, it's just going to survive. But Minus Eagle's army is dealt with. His latest expansion attempt is dealt with, and Sziky can now try to take that expansion for himself, coming out with more cracklings as well from his natural. I'm hesitant to say it, but it seems like Sziky is coming back into a thoroughly commanding position with Eagle's expansion opportunities crippled, his production crippled due to his tiny economy, and his map presence on them in this game almost entirely lost.
Yeah, it might be a little bit too premature. It might be a little premature to say commanding. He is still behind in supply, but yeah, if he can maintain in the situation he is, taking this base that Eagle tried to get up so many times, constantly getting denied, then Eagle being only on 1 base will continue to fall behind, and Sziky may in fact be able to get that commanding lead. Oh, losing some Zergling, taking damage on the Ultras out in the middle of the map. He needs to be careful about that. And Eagle's definitely in the kind of position where he has a strong army. There's a lot of Archons in there, a lot of Dragoons and Templar, but he won't be able to remake the army if it's lost. So Eagle needs to make his engagements very carefully, because even losing half of the army and still managing to take out all the Zerg stuff, it just isn't worth it at this stage in the game.
He's mining off relatively little everything. Most of his gases are depleted. So, like you say, this is pretty much his last chance. That army has to stay alive and has to do some serious damage. He needs to really get rid of the 7 o'clock expansion attempt from Sziky, because that base is about to kick in and is about to increase the economic activities of Sziky quite largely. A lot of drones transferring out to there. It looks like Minus Eagle might go in for the engagement. I think he's committed, and he's going in for it right now. And Sziky actually pulling back, which is a little bit strange. Losing a Defiler, which he definitely wouldn't have wanted to happen, because a Defiler would really make a huge amount of difference at this point with so many Dragoons and Archons in the mix. And now he's just going to try and defend this base. And if he can do so, he's going to be feeling pretty good. Minus Eagle pulling back once again after seeing Sziky back in a decent engagement position. And he's just left to roam around the middle of the map and try and search for an opening. But I think Sziky's going to be able to have this shut down. And if he can get some good flanks on this army, I don't know if Minus Eagle's going to have too much left.
Sziky really did want to engage there, but a feedback on the lone Defiler made him hesitant, just pulling back. It was a smart move from Sziky. He really didn't need to engage there if he didn't have any Defiler support at all. And feedback on yet another Defiler was a little bit far out, trying to hit the Plague, but doesn't quite get it off. And a feedback on yet another Defiler. That is 3 Dark Archon kills now. And Eagle's going in. Most of the units are already dead. He does storm. He storms one of his Observer. There's still one left, though. So I don't know if there are any lurkers at this base. He had been keeping a couple lurkers just around. Sziky losing more overlords, and it looks like he might lose these bases. It depends on exactly how Eagle plays this, but I do think that Ziky's gonna surrender this base, canceled all of his eggs, doesn't even want to bother to hatch them. So he will lose that top expansion, leaving him with only 2. Oh, even trying to burrow the drones, keep them safe, but no, there is in fact an observer there. And Sziky, I mean, he's okay with losing this base, but he might in fact end up losing all of his tech. His Defiler Mountain is down here, so I guess he really would only need really need to rebuild the spawning pool in the Ultralisk Cavern. If Eagle
I think that's why. Yeah, sorry. I think that's why Eagle's probably not interested in going into the main. He's probably aware that the tech is mainly elsewhere.
Yeah, he has had good scouting all game long. Drop going in from Sziky, though, on the bottom left. This time he's bringing in the forces needed. Defilers and Ultralisks and Zerglings. That Nexus going to fall very quickly. Eagle now not mining in the slightest as the Ultralisks now tear through the cannons, but Eagle's army's coming back. He's engaging, maybe not at the angle he wants to, but he doesn't have the luxury of waiting around anymore. He needs to go in now. The Ultras of the ramp are taking out. That Lurker is doing a lot of damage, though, from on top, getting a lot of splash off on those Zealots that are just trying to get up the ramp, but he can't. Finally, the Storms come in to hit the Lurkers, but a little bit late. Is it going to be enough for Eagle? He's trying to get up the ramp. There are Archons coming in from the right side, and it looks like it will be a base for a base trade, as Eagle will be able to take out this expansion. Sziky down to 1 mining base, Eagle down to no mining bases for now.
Yeah. The question is really, Reaver getting caught in the middle of the map. The question is really, is this army enough to roll on and take out that final mining base for Sziky, or will it be finally defeated by Ziky's reinforcements if and when they do in fact arrive? Coming with some cracklings now. I think this may be a little bit premature without any Defiler support and getting completely stormed out, and that seems like a bit of a waste of a sizable number of Lings and an Ultralisk as well, whereas he can't really afford any more. But Minus Eagle is on his last leg. This army is his lot. This is all he has, and if this goes down, then he will be forced to tap out, and Sziky needs to get some reinforcements up and running right away. He has a decent number of cracklings at his natural expansion. It looks like Minus Eagle's bypassing this final mining base for Sziky completely. I'm not quite sure why he's doing this. A few more Dragoons in production coming up from his main. I'm not quite sure how that even happened, but running the risk of getting them quite badly caught by the new cracklings which are coming out right now. And Sziky just trying to snipe off as much as possible. I don't know why he doesn't have any Defilers. Defilers would really clean this one up. We have such a heavy composition of Archons and Dragoons in there. That's really all he needs. And Eagle now going for that final mining base of Sziky. And this is the telling moment whether Sziky can hold on or whether he will just be pipped to the post.
Yep, and you are right. This is it for Eagle. He has 14 minerals. There are no reinforcements to this at all. But if he's able to take out this base, then Sziky will not have any economy himself. And it's looking pretty good for him at this point. Storm's going down, taking out the 1 Lurker. The Sunken Colony is so low on health. There's too many units here. It looks like Sziky will in fact lose this base. And will he end up losing to a Protoss with only 100 supply and no economy?
I think that's going to be the case. I mean, this game was absolutely his, but this army's too strong. He can't do anything now that he's not mining. There's really nothing he can do. Minus Eagle getting a little bit of distance mining action, which was quickly shut down. But Ziky's just left with a few Lings and not much else. And GG from Sziky! That seems so unnecessary. So unnecessary. If he'd just made cracklings, then that game would have been turned on its head.
Yeah, absolutely. In a game that came down so close like that, any one of those engagements earlier in the game with cracklings, just that little advantage he would have gotten would have resonated into him with a pretty nice victory, but oh man.
Alright, X-Pro prevails in game 1. It was not a foregone conclusion at any point, though. It was fought down right to the last in a game which lasted over 40 minutes. So that should be enough to deter all the naysayers who are saying that Sziky doesn't have a chance of taking this series off Minus Eagle. He's got a lot to do, but it's by no means impossible as we go into game 2 here with everything still to play for.
Man. Oh, that's up with that's Stork. Yeah, it's on par with Stork for getting range, or Savior for getting crack. It's so painful.
Super nasty. I don't know why he didn't notice it earlier either. I mean, he was using Lings for so long. He just didn't clock it for some reason.
All right. Going into game number 2. We have an observer. in the bottom left, we have Eagle, who is the white Protoss. And in the top position, we have Sziky, who is the green Zerg. This is a best of 7, so Sziky has a lot of opportunity to get back into this one, but at the moment, down 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he does have plenty of opportunities to get back into this. It's not like he won't have gained a little bit of confidence from last game either. Whilst he did lose, it was incredibly close, and yeah, he really probably should have won it. Looking at the facts and looking at the position he was in, I mean, that early Zealot pressure put Eagle behind right from the very beginning of the game, and it was a constant uphill struggle. And all credit to him where it's due. He played fantastically well and showed us a great game right there. But I have to say that Sziky can definitely do some real damage here.
Again, way back in the beginning of that last game, Eagle had a funny wall. So I'm curious if he does it again, but that looks like a much more normally placed pylon. Forge here,
Yeah,
gateway
pretty standard.
here, everything's nice.
It's looking very, very standard. I mean, you're just going to throw down the forge down on the bottom next to the skeleton thingy. Ooh.
Cute move by Eagle there, moving down with the probe, just looking for the Overlord, and then immediately going to head back with it to throw down the forge, so he doesn't need to use a different...
Oh, gateway first.
Gateway, excuse me.
Wow, this is an interesting opening. I mean, it's not too uncommon to go for a gateway first opening, especially if you suspect that maybe there's going to be a 12 hatch. But it can also work quite nicely if you want to get a big Zealot push out in the mid game. You can deny Zerg vision for quite a while and could be a little bit more aggressive, and you have a slightly larger Zealot count as soon as speed kicks in. So it's a decent enough opening. It is legit. It is safe. And Sziky, I don't quite know what he's doing with that drone. I guess he's just hiding it so he can dart out there and get behind the probe and just dancing it around a little bit to keep his APM up. But he's just missed the window, I think. Drilling out through the probe and trying to catch it on the ramp, though, but the probe manages to get out. And, yeah, we'll now be able to block the hatchery. What a huge pain this is going to be for Sziky.
Yeah, Sziky a little bit too fancy for his own good there and not going to be able...
Oh!
Never mind. Eagle's going to mess up a little bit and allow that to go down. Yeah, and... Well, we'll see what Eagle has planned, but he has queued up 2 Zealots. So he's not throwing down the Forge. It looks like he's just going to go Gateway Nexus. Which is...
Yeah.
Ooh, it can be risky to do that just because you don't have any cans to stop the run by at all. It's all
and no blocking either.
Yeah, it's all relying on your Zealots. You can't make a tight wall anywhere other than the ramp, but if you do it there, you obviously put your Gateway in jeopardy. But
does he know about Sziky links? He won't know about Sziky links. He won't know how much danger he's in. You need a big wall off and like 20 probes and loads of zealots because these links are going to be scary stuff. Not like last game. Last game, Sziky's links were pretty much AFK. But here, this could be dangerous and runs the risk of losing 1 or 2 of his zealots. Getting a nice surround here. The links could be able to take down one of them, maybe even both of them. It looks like 1 zealot is going to go down. Lovely micro from Eagle, though, means that he's actually able to do surprising amounts of damage to those links. I would imagine that would have gone much worse, but some of these links are going to get into his main. His micro should be equal to it, though, and just as we imagined, he's unable to block those links from actually getting through. So 3 Zerglings in his main now. Is speed on the way? Zergling speed is not on the way as of yet, in any case. But still trying to be aggressive. Eagle pushing out with that Zealot, getting all the way into Zyky's natural. We'll see if he can do any damage here.
Yep, the injured Zergling taken out first, and the other, now there's only 2 left. Hasn't been able to get anything yet, and yeah, it looks like Sziky, he attacked the Zealot, allowing the Zealot to get a couple hits on him, and, man, 1 Zergling goes down. It looks like Sziky, for possibly the first time in his life, might not even get a single probe. He totally could have gotten that probe. I don't know why he didn't attack it.
Actually, I think during the Poussin game, I was also amazed at how tame Zyky's lings actually look. These pro gamers can really pack a serious punch in terms of dealing with stuff like this very, very cool-headedly. Another Zealot heading to Zyky's natural. I don't know if this is really the best way to be doing things. I can kind of explain away the first one, but the second one, I feel it's a little bit of a questionable decision. But finding a beautiful position behind that mineral patch is not going to be quite enough for Mr. Zealot, though, and it does get taken out. So that seems like a little bit of an unnecessary waste, getting only 1 Zergling for his money. And now Zyky's third base is up now as well, so progressing fairly standard into the mid-game. And still no cannons. The Forge only just happening for our Protoss player here, so I guess he's feeling pretty safe.
Yeah, there's a probe heading out from Eagle. I guess it's just a scouting probe, probably. And more links.
Yeah.
will be trying to harass before the cannons come up. I am also very surprised by how aggressive Eagle's been, just constantly streaming out these zealots to really getting nothing out of it so far. I don't know exactly what he expected to, and now the Zerglings are trying to take out the Stargate. They're doing a good amount of damage to it, and finally a zealot comes back to attempt to ward them off.
Yeah, Sziky's going to have trouble defending these zealots coming into his natural, though. He has a good number of lings, but the zealots might be able to deal with them if they get a decent enough position. Because that's 3 zealots. 3 zealots are pretty scary when you have pure unupgraded lings to deal with them. And the micro is good from Eagle, but I think the Sziky's lings are just about enough to deal with this. Eagle doing his level best, but those zealots are taken out. Not quite sure how cost efficient they were. And critically, the whole time Sziky was able to keep his lings alive in the main, and now his ling speed kicks in. So this is where it starts to get dangerous, and he forces the pull off the gas from the probes, and the probes now looking slightly panicked as the ling speed kicks in. He might be able to do another bit of a run by into the front as well. He has a decent number of lings coming in to reinforce, and this is where Sziky often looks at his scariest and at his best.
Yep. He doesn't have a whole lot of kills. One of those Zerglings... The Zerglings do have kills, but 5 kills between them, but most of those are actually... I think a good number of those are Zealot kills and not exactly probe kills. He has managed to get a couple so far. And Citadel down, Stargate down, only 1 Corsair though. I'm not sure what he's going to use his gas on. He's up to almost 400 gas, not getting the upgrade, not getting any more Corsairs. Is he supply blocked? No, he's not supply blocked. Huh.
Oh, sorry, Eagle doing a good job of trapping the lings out, and the lings are dealt with in the main after taking down 4 probes in total. The first Corsair does manage to bag himself an Overlord kill, but Scourge on... Yeah, Scourge are hatching out at the natural, so okay. This isn't going to be too bad for Sziky. He shouldn't lose another Overlord, but I'd imagine that Eagle's not going to lose that Corsair either, unless he's not keeping a close eye on it. The Scourge going in, the Corsair's going to go down. Very, very, very careless play right there from Eagle. Pushing out with some Zealots, though. It looked like he was a little bit distracted by what's going on there. Losing 1 more Zealot, but he's just being so tenacious with his pressure. No Zealot speed as of yet, though, so it's still going to be a little while before they're truly dangerous.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Sziky's going Mutalist this game, which is a little bit surprising just because we've seen him go for Mutalist so frequently recently. And Eagle, despite going Gateway first, has thrown away so many Zealots that his aggression is actually going to be pretty weak here. He's not even bothering to get speed. +1 has a little bit of a ways to go, and this should be able to very easily be held off. I don't know exactly what Eagle's trying to get out of, but both his Zealot aggression in this game and in the last game has gotten him absolutely nothing.
Yeah, nothing whatsoever. I guess it hasn't worked out too badly in this game. He's got quite a lot of Zergling kills, and his timings were good because he managed to skip out so much in terms of his wall-in defense before getting his Nexus up. So it probably hasn't affected him too negatively in terms of what you would usually see in game timings, but compared to what he could have, it probably has had a little bit of an adverse effect on how he's having to play this out.
Yeah.
Having said that, however, it did allow him to cheap out, so maybe that was the whole deal. He spammed Zealot, so it allowed him to be super cheap at his natural.
Yeah, that's absolutely a great point. It's not putting him behind by going for all these Zealot attacks, but normally you just expect Gateway first to have a great opportunity to do damage, and that opportunity was lost. But other than that, he's actually in a good position relative to if he had gone for Defi and whatnot. Of course, they're looking for the expansion of the 4th to see if Sziky went for that fast expo. He did not. And still being chased by the Scourge. Scourge not quite able to catch up with it yet. It doesn't look like it's even going to go home, though. It's going to head up and scout out Sziky even more. When it turns around, it's going to be in danger of being hit.
Yeah. And it looks like the Corsair is going to get taken down. That's quite bad for Eagle. He really needs his Corsair count because he's going for quite an early DT drop in the main. He could stand to lose a few more Corsairs here. Just managing to dodge the Scourge. 1 Scourge manages to land. But yeah, he is going for a pretty fast DT drop. So the +1 Corsair is going to be instrumental in making that work. I think Sziky's kind of suspicious of stuff coming into his main base. He's positioning lings around as he does so well, keeping his map vision up. He sees the Corsairs heading on over just as he was intending to do with that Zergling right there. So he should know that he still needs to be hatching out more Scourge in order to deal with this, but he's hatching out a fair number of Hydralisk, I think, instead, mainly. But now this is where Sziky's map vision really comes in critical, and as long as his Zergling positioning is good, then he should be able to shut this DT drop down relatively easily. 4 DTs in that shuttle. If that works, it's going to be serious, serious problems for Sziky, and I think the shuttle just manages to slip through the net. So if this doesn't get spotted early, that's going to be lights out for most of Sziky's main.
Yeah, he did not see it. The shuttle going to get in completely unseen, and he won't see the shuttle now that the DTs are dropping. He needs to pay attention to his drones dying, but this is going to do a lot of damage, whether he detects it early or not. He's not even going to go in with the DTs. He's going to go wait for 4 more Zealots, possibly even wait for that last one. Is in position. No,
Wow.
He's going to go in now with 8 units. The hatchery goes down. That is not a defensive structure, and this is going to do so much damage. Sziky in a lot of trouble here. He needs to figure out some way to defend against this, but they're just going to target down that lair, and the lair is going to die so quickly. So quickly, already only a third of health, and it's going to get taken out even before the Hydralisks get there, so the DTs and the Zealots can even try to fight them. The Spire was taken out in the meantime, not all the units were focusing on the lair. The slow Overlords will get into position to detect the DTs, but they're still going to actually take out a good number of these Hydralisks, just because DTs are actually not terrible against Hydralisks with similar numbers. So 1 DT left, still retreating back farther and farther in range of the Spore Colony and the Sunken. So that's going to force the Zealots back, but still taking out the hatchery, taking out the lair, taking out the Spire, and now going after the spawning pool, which won't quite go down. But still, amazing damage done with that DT drop. And Sziky's in a lot of trouble right now.
He's just lost pretty much his entire main. The spawning pool is going to survive, I think. And those Corsairs continuing to do damage. They're going to take out a good number of Overlords, taking out 2 Overlords there in the main before they get seen off. Pretty short on Corsair count now, so I think Sziky's going to be safe from, in terms of Corsairs from then on. But nonetheless, this was brutal for Sziky. He did manage to get a 4th base up all the while, so that kind of mitigates a little bit of damage, but that was super nasty. Losing his Spire, losing his main lair as well. Along with a bunch of drones too, and a good number of Hydralisks into the bargain, so that, no doubt that paid off for Minus Eagle. But will this follow-up attack be effective? A lot of Speed Zealots coming across the map with +1 weapons as well.
Yeah, and the drones. Can't forget he got like 7 drones before finally pulling them. So that, just so many things dying in that engagement. And Eagle, with Sziky not having a huge army, is going to be able to take a 3rd, and that's...
Oh, storm drop down at the 6 o'clock. Oh no, so many drones going down. Absolutely horrible for Sziky. Every single one of the drones of that base getting demolished by a massively, massively effective storm drop for Eagle. And his harassment play in this match has been second to none. 12 kills on that Archon. And it's finally taken down, but this is horrible for Sziky, and getting a few of his very meager Hydralisk force trapped on the somewhere near the middle of the map right there as well, and those Lurker Eggs probably not going to make it too far in the world either, and a big force now from Minus Eagle heading out straight towards Sziky's natural, and I think they should be able to bust through right here with no Lurkers in defense.
Nope. Even 2 Zealots that were dropped off with that storm drop, now deciding to move in with Sziky distracted by the Zealots at the front. Those Lurkers, though, going to be able to do a good job of holding him off. Sziky getting in another Sunken Colony, and that second Sunken Colony is going to be able to finish off the Zealot. So going in again, Storm now is going to help out a lot against those Lurkers. There are no observers, makes it a little bit more difficult, but not impossible. And the Zealots are being very aggressive here, but not actually attacking. So going to lose some more of them.
Yeah, what a display of superiority so far. Whereas the previous match was very, very close. Eagle has looked incredible this game. I mean, absolutely dominating harassment play from start to finish here. As soon as the opportunities were open, he's just been going and going. Sziky not getting a minute's breathing space. He's trying to get some sort of army mustered, but Eagle is a head and shoulders ahead. 117 supply for Eagle versus 82 for Sziky, and now coming out with a bunch of speedlings, but they're going to do really not much against this army that's heading towards him now. He might be able to get in the back and do a few high temp last night, but that's really the best he can hope to do, and I'm questioning whether he'll be able to hold on against the attack that's going towards him.
Yeah, he's trying to snipe these high Templar. It looks like he's going to be able to get 2 of them, though. So that's going to slow down Eagle ever so slightly, but this is just such a big army, and if Sziky's not insanely careful with the few Lurkers he does have, he doesn't have a chance against this Eagle, now with an Observer out too, so he can actually take out Lurkers with something other than Storm. Oh man, and Zeke's economy is still on the recovery, not quite there yet. He has rebuilt the hatchery, so he is on 4 bases. But
Yeah.
Eagle's taking the center expansion.
Yeah, Eagle about to be on 4 bases too. Remember how much trouble Eagle had getting a third and fourth base up last game? Well, this is how easy it is this game, and even the last game he won. So this game I really can't see him losing it at this point because he's going level on bases with Sziky with a very, very healthy supply lead, 139 at this stage to 93. So that's a big, big swing. Now with observers, that means he's going to be able to push a long way into Zeke's natural. I think this might be the death knell for Sziky. He might just have one hope to hold on if he can get good snipes. A couple of DTs coming in the back, taken out very easily. A good storm, but also an equally good dodge for Sziky. But again, the clumped up lurkers, 3 lurkers within the radius of a single storm, which means they all get taken down pretty much at once. And Sziky has nothing with which to defend this. He's getting absolutely demolished right here. The army of Minus Eagle pushing on unstoppably into his natural.
Yeah, with all those lurkers down because they were a little bit too far forward, I don't think that Sziky has a chance at all. There are a couple reinforcements coming in from the back, but very few relative. Really, it is down to just Dragoons, and Dragoons are pretty weak just by themselves. There is an Archon a little bit far forward, going to be picked off. Yes, the Archon goes down. Sziky may just be able to hold out here, but is going to be very close. Reinforcements coming in from Eagle. There he is, GG.
Yeah, GG. No way Sziky was going to be able to hold on there. That force was just way too big for him to deal with after such a disadvantageous mid-game. All credit to Eagle right there for showing a dominant performance.
Alright. So, game number 3 of Eagle versus Sziky. Rep is hosted.
I'm in.
Yeah. And just such a difference between those two games. And really, the only significant thing that was different between those games is a DT drop and then a storm drop.
Yeah.
Completely changes the game. Sziky has absolutely no chance after those go down.
Nothing at all. He was so shut down that game. It was unbelievable. I really hope he can do a little bit more this game because that was demoralizing to say the least.
Let's get this started. Game number 3. Alright, would you please call it out?
I will indeed. Spawning in the top right-hand corner as the Grey Zerg, defeated last game but not out for the count just yet, is ISL 3 Sziky, our victor from yesterday. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner as the yellow Protoss, the ex-pro gamer Minus Eagle, playing in this show match, interestingly enough, is ISL 3 Woon. Not quite sure I can explain why he's wearing the ISL 3 tag, but I guess it's good to be a part of something.
Yep. And the map will be on Fighting Spirit.
Yeah, Fighting Spirit, it's good, it's a classic. We expect to see 12 hatch, we expect to see Forge Fast expand. It would be perfectly reasonable as well to go for a Gateway First build, especially on this map, because you can really take advantage of the early hatchery if you're clever about it.
Yeah, I definitely think that an early Gateway build would be nice from Eagle here. I think I'd like to see him try that. And from Sziky, it looks like Zeke's going to go 9 pool though. Yep, there it is.
Cool. So Sziky being a little bit unexpected right there. I have a feeling I see Sziky do this quite a lot. I'm not quite sure why. Do we see him 9 pool often?
He does go 9 pool. I'm a little bit more surprised to see it on a 4-player map like this. It's not always on a 4-player map, but yeah, Sziky does go 9 pool. What Sziky does sometimes though is he'll go 9 pool, but then only make 2 lings behind it and try to confuse his opponent, cause his opponent to make too many cannons, and still come out ahead economically.
That's quite interesting. Yeah, I can see how that would be valid.
Yep. Sending out the drone scout though, so that one will be sent cross. He'll know where his opponent is, so he can send out lings immediately, and I think that is an indication that he will be looking to go ling first.
Yeah, it could work out
Yep.
pretty nicely here for Sziky because the early Nexus, even before Forge, is a complete guess move from Eagle. I guess he's that sure that players either go 12 hatch or that he can defend himself, but I don't know if he can because the Forge is only halfway up now and the first lings are about to pop from the main hatchery of Zyky's base, and there we are. First 6 lings are on the way, so luckily for him, he does decide to make the full complement. And let's see if that drone can delay the cannons at all. It could be absolutely critical if he can. Okay, the first cannon does manage to get down, but I don't know if it's going to be coming up in time, and he might be able to take care of that probe as well. Will the probe go down? No, I think it seems the probe is actually going to beat the drone after all, but it's all going to be about that cannon timing. If it gets up in time, then Eagle might just be okay, but if not, then he's going to be in some serious trouble. He's doing a decent block at the front. Is that a complete block? This may be a complete block right now, which could be enough just to stall Sziky for that critical moment longer, but Sziky needs to go right now. He cannot afford to wait around, and he's indeed not doing so. Going to have to take out that probe first and foremost, though, if he wants to bust in and take this cannon down before it finishes. Will the cannon finish? It looks like the cannon will just be able to get in, and Sziky is turned away, and that's how to eliminate a build order loss, I guess. So feel free, go 11 Nexus, all you like, guys, all you like.
That was actually a really sick wall. That is tight on the left side, as ridiculous as it looks. It's tight between the pylon and the cliff here. The only gaps between the pylon and the gateway, and you can stack multiple probes in there to act as a wall against lings, exactly as Eagle did. Worked out.
That's
very
probably
well.
the best wall I've ever seen. That's such a good wall. One tiny gap through the middle. That is a very, very good wall in. I mean, using the pylon in with it as well is a very nice touch and shows a lot of confidence in terms of his building placement. So very, very good job there from Eagle. We can't take it away from him. It is ridiculous that that's tight on the left-hand side, though. That's a huge gap right there between Forge and Cliff. That's madness.
Yeah. I mean, other than he'll have to destroy a gateway to get goons out, it is perfect. But Sziky, I think Sziky wants to try to challenge it. He's getting a Hydralisk Den off of 3 hatchery. He's going for a close third. And now, this might be a weakness of the wall. That pylon is very far forward. There is one pylon powering 4 buildings. The sniper core really doesn't matter, but it's powering 4 buildings. If he might be able to snipe that pylon, I'm sure Eagle knows that that pylon is the Alfred of the game. Shoutouts to my chess teacher. It's the weak pawn, and my
Oh, I see.
and
Alfred the weak one.
yeah, and he'll throw down another pylon behind that. But if he doesn't, then Sziky would be able to snipe it pretty easily. I mean, that cannon is very far away. I'm not even sure the Hydralisks need range to be able to attack it, but certainly they can with range safely.
They absolutely can. I mean, Eagle is pretty much relying on him getting a scout as well. If Zyky's able to shut down that probe in the middle of the map before he gets a good scout, then Eagle's going to be very, very in the dark. And the probe looks like it might get taken down. Sziky needs to micro this well. A little bit of miss micro there means the probe might just slip through to the 12 o'clock base. Getting diverted though at the last second. Eagle's desperately trying to get scouting, but Sziky may just be able to deny it. And the first Hydralisks are out now, but will the scouts see them? That is really the critical point at this stage. And those lings are just going to have to try and keep the Hydralisks hidden. It looks like Sziky might actually reveal his hand nonetheless. Eagle's still in the dark, though, as the first Hydralisk is making their way to his base. And that pylon's still the lone wolf guarding the front door. The only thing standing between Eagle and pretty much certain death right now as 3 Zealots head out onto the map.
I'm not sure if that back pylon will actually power the cannon, but even if it does, it's still not a very good position for Eagle to be in with no scouting information. The probe trying to get in now, it's not going to see anything quite yet. It's going to have to go into the main to finally see the Hydralisk Den.
I think he's going to understand quite what's happening. No gas at the natural and very, very low drone count indeed. And 3 Zealots now heading towards Zyky's 12 o'clock base. Might do some decent damage, but Zyky's going to be able to focus down that pylon. Absolutely trouble 3, and those 3 Zealots might be far more useful back at home right now than they're going to be doing any kind of harassment. Another pylon does get laid down in the natural mineral line for Eagle. I'm surprised that Sziky isn't trying to push a little bit further in. Looks like he's getting incredibly distracted at the 12 o'clock base, though, doing a decent job. He will be able to see those Zealots off, and now he should be able to focus more effectively on the front door of Minus Eagle. Will he be able to get in there and snipe out that second cannon before it comes up? The pylon is done, so he does finally have pylon power back in there again, and the cannon looks like it might just finish. Sziky trying to take down those Zealots before they do too much damage, and he should now go in on the cannon as it finishes, but it will finish. Still only on half health, though, so Sziky still has a lot of traction in this burst attempt. And now, as Speed Zealots come into the game as well, Minus Eagle might have half a chance of defending.
Sziky brutally murdering Alfred there, and Eagle's going to be able to survive. A little bit. That cannon, it stopped +1. Excuse me. Taking out the pylon stopped +1, and the forge is looking vulnerable. Yeah, he can definitely range down the forge if he wants to, but instead going in for the kill here, trying to do a lot of damage. There are so many Hydralisks that can take out the probes very quickly, and even if they're in range of the cannon, it's only a single cannon. There are Zealots going in as well, but there is a more pressing matter. I'm surprised Eagle tried to sneak those out, because he really needed to use them for defense. Even if he had them for defense, I'm not sure if it would have been enough, but Sziky is going to be able to take this pretty decisively, it looks like, with the Hydra Bust. All the cannons have gone down, the Nexus is going down, the Zealots are not doing enough damage yet, and I don't know how they possibly could be. The Forge taken out, going to take out the Cybercord, going to take out all of these pylons. Eagle might possibly be supply block at the end. The Zealots have taken out a couple of drones. We can try to click on them for kills. 4 kills and 1 kill. 5 kills combined is not going to be enough, and they're focusing on the wrong one, but the Zealots will be killed off. Going for a bust attempt. Oh, he even got lurkers. The Zealots coming out, though, will be enough to send the Hydralisks back, but with lurker tech and not even a cyber core, those observers are going to be a very, very long ways away.
Yeah, observers take a long time either way, but this way they're just going to be super far away. If you can get just a couple of lurkers up in time for this attack to hit, then the attack is going to be able to do absolutely nothing. Nonetheless, I think that is more than enough Hydralisks to deal with. They're still with +0 upgrades, but yeah, that's a huge number of Hydralisks compared to the very, very small number of Zealots. And GG from -Eagle, and that will take Sziky 2-1 down, but he does grab a game nonetheless. So he is back in it. Game on once again.
Yep. Easy win for Sziky. Saw the wall. It was a very pretty looking wall, but it in fact was not safe against Hydralisks.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a matter of scouting. Sziky did a great job of denying the second probe scout, and it made all the difference.
For the record, in case anybody was curious, Alfred is the pawn that is in front of the bishop on the king's side. And he is Alfred because the knight doesn't protect him, and the bishop doesn't protect him, and the queen doesn't protect him. It's just the king. But if you're not paying attention, you can lose that pawn and be really quickly checkmated. It's the one you take to do like the 4-move checkmate. If you guys are familiar with that one.
I know almost nothing about chess.
You know,
but
I'll
take your word for it.
I know a little bit about chess. Like I can say I know a lot about chess. Like a lot of things, it depends on who you ask. Compared to you, I know lots and lots about chess, but compared to somebody who actually knows chess, I know nothing about chess.
Fair. Okay. Yeah, we're ready to go into the next game, though. This is not chess. This is like the PC gaming equivalent, of course, which you are now watching. This is good old Brood War. LRM game in the bottom left-hand corner, killing off all his SUVs and lifting off. He is only an observer, of course. If anyone's unfamiliar with the process, that's what's going on right here. Will he do the SUV jousting? It looks like he will. But not successfully, unfortunately. So, to call out the actual players who will be participating in this game in a more meaningful manner, in the top right-hand corner, spawning in as the blue Protoss, we have -Eagle, our Samsung Khan ex-pro gamer. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, yesterday's ISL 3 winner, and earning himself the right to play in this prestigious show match, is ISL 3 Sziky as the Grey Zerg. And we expect a good performance off him right here as he spawns in on another 4-player map. What build will he go for? Will it be the old 9 pool again? And will -Eagle go quite so risky as last game? We are seeing an in-base play from Eagle, so this is quite curious. Yeah, interested to see what his follow-up here. There is, of course, a wide variety of stuff available to you as Protoss when you go for the in-base first pylon.
Yep. And it all starts with the number of gateways, because all diverging branches of options start with the 2 gateways. It's going with the number of gateways. There's the 2-gateway path, which is going to obviously be very aggressive, trying to kill your opponent immediately, and then there's the 1-base tech path, and that has a whole litany of options going after it. But Sziky will be going 9 pool again, and will scout out, well, he's going to scout in the right direction with the Overlord, but the Overlord won't see anything in the natural. It's going to be a little while before he realizes which direction Eagle is in.
Yeah, yeah, that seems valid. So Sziky's going he should scout all the way into the main. I mean, I can't imagine he'll stop at the natural. That would seem a little bit premature. Oh, he sees the probe. Okay, so the scouting overlord's going to see the probe coming out, so he's now going to know what position Minus Eagle is in. Going to head on all the way into Minus Eagle's main base. Cybernetics core going down incredibly early. This guy is just the king of going for crazy balls to the wall play, making up Cybercore before he makes his first zealot. That is like unheard of in PvZ when you're going one base. That's just not usually what you do at all. You make at least one zealot before you start the Cybernetics core, but Minus Eagle really looking pretty confident.
Yeah, that certainly is a bold decision to get the Cybercore before you get your first Zealot, and we'll see if it's going to work. One Zealot on the ramp isn't going to be a very good block against the Zerglings, but a couple of probes being pulled as well just to make sure it's completely tight. However, 6 Zerglings can just win the fight, not necessarily just trying to go for the run-by. I think they can win against 2 probes and a zealot, but we're going to see one of the probes goes down. Good move by Sziky there, taking out the probe. Great micro, and he's now focusing on the zealot. The zealot very injured, but not quite finished off. He instead focusing on the probe, and now there are 4 Sziky-lings, no distractions to work with, and Sziky is in a position to thrive against Minus Eagle right here. He even gets the scout off and sees the immediate Stargate.
Yeah, it's still going to be a little while before he has the link speed coming in, but it's so important when you're facing against a one-base Protoss to get the scout in just as quickly as possible, and that's exactly what he's managed to do here, because otherwise it can be very, very hard to know what you're facing down against, especially once a Dragoon is produced, denying the Overlord vision completely. Might be able to grab himself 1 or 2 probe kills, taking a few hits to his links, but not losing any just yet. Do we have link speed on the way yet? We do not have link speed on the way. And a Hydralisk Den getting thrown down already, so he wants to be doubly ready about these Corsairs, and that is going to be some super early Corsair action. The Citadel happening now too, so it does look like it's going to be a DT follow-up. And this makes good sense from Minus Eagle, and this can work despite the fact that he's been scouted. It can be a decent expansion build, nonetheless.
Yep. Probably the most common variant of going one-base tech. Getting the Stargate and then pumping out DTs, going for very quick DT Sair build. But Sziky going for something very aggressive of his own. He has 2 bases and a Hydralisk Den.
Yeah, I think it's necessitated really by the Corsair timing, because we can see that his first 2 Hydralisks have only just started. So keeping the Overlord kills down to 1 is going to be somewhat of a blessing for him.
Yep. And finally the first Zergling goes down, getting a little bit separated from his friends. But still,
do Zerglings have friends? I don't know if they have friends.
You don't think Zerglings are friends with each other?
No, man, they're a hive mind. They're all one.
All one? I don't know, man. I think they're friends. I think they gossip about defilers that they hate.
Bloody consuming us all the time. We'll show them. Standing around the water cooler bitching.
Oh man, no. That needs to be expanded on. We definitely need like a 4-panel comic with a bunch of Zerglings and business ties around a water cooler. There's a joke to be had in there. Somebody make it.
There's a comic to be had in there. Somebody make it. So it's not looking too disadvantageous for Sziky right now, despite the fact that he did lose one of his overlords. The Corsairs should be pretty easily held off. I mean, he's got a few Hydralisks moseying around in his natural and his main. And neither player looking particularly aggressive at this stage, however. Sziky making up another macro hatchery in his natural, so it's weird that he still hasn't gone for a 3rd base. But I guess he's just happy to sit on 2 bases for now. He knows how late Eagle's natural expansion is going to be, so he's okay to delay his timing quite significantly and just make sure he's safe against the Sair DT action, which is no doubt coming his way. Getting supply blocked again, though, means it's going to be a little while before he has any more Hydralisks up and ready, and we could actually see a little bit of... okay, no, he cancelled out his DT, his second DT, and decided to make a High Templar instead, and that's very sensible to let it build up plenty of energy by the time he actually needs it to fight against the Hydralisks. Those Corsairs, I doubt they'll be getting any more Overlord kills to their name, getting chipped away at by these Hydralisks.
Uh-oh. Eagle going for the elimination on game? No, only doing 40 damage to the command center.
That'd be harsh.
Yeah. I think this is I think it's an odd decision from Eagle to go for such a quick expansion after getting in with the Corsair and seeing that your opponent is going 2-base Hydralisk. It's going to be something crazy aggressive. Not exactly sure why he's deciding to go for that such a fast expansion. It might end up working out because Sziky got supply blocked. And Sziky does not have a very high number of Hydralisks out quite yet, but I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. The DCs aren't going to be able to get in yet. The hatchery is going to get taken down, I would imagine, because is there Overlord speed in yet? No, the Overlord speed is not done for a little while still. So that Hydra is cancelled out sensibly by Sziky. The drone goes down too. Corsair's having a little bit of a poke into the natural, but they're not going to find too much to be had. And somehow a Ling gets into Eagle's main. I don't even know how that happened. It does eventually get taken down, but Sziky once again getting a good scout on our Protoss player. Corsair's continuing to be a little bit of a nuisance heading on into Zyki's main base. So they're continuing to cause him a little bit of hassle and just threaten his overlords constantly, probably without picking up any more kills for the time being as the Hydras come back to defend. And Lurker Tech now done as well, at the same time as Overlord speed finishes. So we head on up into the mid game here and just having a look for... Okay, no Observer Tech happening quite yet. And just as I say that, Minus Eagle does throw down the robotics facility, so the effective scout is met with the effective counter, and his Observer Tech is going to be in good time.
Well, Sziky restarting the hatchery this time has an Overlord, has some Hydralisks there to try to defend in case another DT comes back. Man, those are some very fast lurkers out in front of Eagle's natural now. Barely going to be able to range this Forge. I think it will barely be able to kill it before +1 finishes. Lurkers do so little damage to buildings.
They do pretty much nothing.
That is, of course, if Eagle doesn't storm it, which he'll probably do. He has 2 Templars, 3 Storms between them. There we go.
Oh, will it get caught? Just gets caught. But thank God there wasn't a clump. If he'd have managed to clump up his only 2 lurkers, then I would have been as shocked as anybody to see that happen. But Sziky is starting to make up a few more lurkers, and this is the crucial moment where he really needs to establish that big lurker containment, because lurker contains are horrible on this map, and I think that's exactly what Sziky had in mind as soon as he threw down that Hydralist, and I think that's exactly what he thought he was going to transition into, and it is a wise transition, because you can see that high ground is going to be so hard to mount up on as soon as there's a decent number of lurkers up there, and I think that's just what Sziky has in mind, managing to snipe out one more Corsair as well.
Yeah, ooh. The Corsairs were not around to see the load up of 4 lurkers and 6 Hydralisks? No, more than 6 Hydralisks, like at least 10 Hydralisks moving in, so he won't be able to stop the +1, but he's just going to drop everything. They fly over a pylon, good position on the pylon to at least have a little bit of forewarning, but now he needs a lot of Storm to try to handle this, and it's going to have to be very, very well-placed Storm. He does have a good number of Templar. How many Storms do he have between them? He did waste 2 more Storms to take out the lurker in the front. It looks like only 1 more Storm is left, so this is going to be very hard to deal with. Oh, man, where is the observatory? Oh, he does have...
Observers are done, so this is... Oh, but the observer gets sniped out! That's a massive mistake for Eagle right now, and Sziky is able to do so much damage suddenly. That lurker just became invincible without observer snipe, and there are a lot of Hydralisks, and they're able to do a lot of damage to these slow Zealots. All the Zealots go down. Sziky, with 1 masterful stroke, could have put himself way ahead in this game right here. Going to be able to snipe out that high Templar fairly soon, but he's going to set to work on the gateways. There is another observer out, but will he be able to snipe that one too? He will have seen it. Looks like he's trying to get a good position on it, but he does not quite manage to take it down. And the Archon is going to be powerful, doing a lot of damage to these lurkers. And now, will he manage to get the observer snipe? It looks like he might be looking around for it, but not finding it as of yet. And the lurker, the final lurker just going down. Probably still have enough Hydralists to deal with these Zealots, but doing a lot of damage to the standing army of Eagle, and most likely a very good investment right there.
Yep. Sziky now ferrying in more units. A bunch of new lurkers morphing in.
I like how he's just sitting there in the corner of Eagle's base. That is incredibly cheeky. Might be able to get another observer snipe. He does get an observer snipe, and that will really increase the longevity of this pressure. And now pulling probes. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. The probes might be important, but anyway, he does manage to take out the last observer. But will there be a storm on that clump of lurkers? That's such a big clump of lurkers, and the storm manages to get all 4 at once. Sziky, you did not spread them effectively. Even if he hadn't bothered to burrow them down, he could have just taken so much less damage by just taking the time to spread them out. He is now, however, able to camp all the gateways. So with a little bit of luck, no more Psystorm incoming for quite some time. Sziky is in such a good position here. This is incredibly damaging to every aspect of Minus Eagle. And he's just able to push on consistently forward and forward through these gateways. The the production facility of Minus Eagle absolutely crippled here.
There is only one pylon powering all 4 of Eagle's gateways, not to mention 2 cannons as well.
Cannons, yeah.
If he's going to go for it, not sure. It looks like he's trying to move forward, trying to take out some of these cannons. There's really the cannons the only defense holding up this mineral line. And Eagle just trying to hold on. He's losing more and more of his gateways. Only has 2 left, although he is rebuilding some. And yet more and more units are being lifted in from Sziky. Sziky just putting on so much pressure here. And, oh man. Oh, okay, that gateway's gonna go down before the High Templar come out. Only 1 working gateway. How many more is he building? Just the 1? Oh no, there's 3. Okay. There's 1 in and 3 more coming. So he'll still have his gateway count. Go ahead.
This is resoundingly clever play from Sziky. Not least because it's very, very effective, but also because Eagle just didn't see this coming at all. We could see how far out of position his Corsairs were. He just didn't really imagine that this was going to happen. He was so caught off guard. And that's something you see incredibly rarely for a pro gamer such as himself. It's very, very odd for him not to have a complete handle on exactly what's going on in the game. So all credit to Sziky goes for actually managing to keep this under wraps for as long as he did, and now continuing to do a lot of damage to Eagle's main base, cutting him off from his natural 2. And Eagle's just pretty much in complete stasis here, unable to do anything for the time being.
Absolutely, he can't even go for a counterattack because this is such a large force blocking the ramp. He couldn't run any out. There's only 1 gateway in the main, so maybe he could sneak out a Dark Templar and try to do something. I guess the 3rd is kind of vulnerable for Sziky, but only a little bit. He has to just deal with this straight up. Another storm going down, picking off one of those injured lurkers from earlier. And it looks like some of the Zerglings are going to get baited in to attack the cannons, taken out.
Wow, Eagle's storm positioning is so good. We can see he manages to get both those lurkers, whereas many players would have just settled for 1. And he decides that this is the time to go in. He has plenty of speed zealots, but will the Lynx be enough of a backup? There are a few Hydras in there as well, still able to do some decent damage. Looks like all the lurkers will go down. Only 1 still remaining, but all the zealots are falling too. And somehow this just holds out for Sziky. This position is not going down without a fight. Will he be able to get some High Templar kills as well? A good storm being thrown down. Oh, and just the final observer dies. So does the final lurker. And managing to snipe out 1 more High Templar. Finally, this weird in-base contain, splitting the natural off from the main, is cleaned up by Eagle, but at no small cost to him. And Sziky coming out with another huge force, making ready to contain on the high ground once again. And Eagle's going to be trapped yet again in his natural expansion.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal. I don't think that Sziky would try to lift it up. He's actually going to go in for the attack. I thought he'd be a little bit more passive. Those lurkers are so clumped yet again, hitting 4 lurkers with a single swarm. There's so much blood there. And Sziky, oh, he's going to take so much damage here. Again, getting hit on the lurkers. Oh.
Yeah, you know what would have been good there? A contain.
Yeah,
contain would have been really good. What was wrong with a contain? You position up a whole bunch of lurkers on top of that ramp, wait for the Protoss to try and push, and kill him. He had nothing. He had speed zealots trying to push up a big lurk contain on high ground. It would have been no contest, and Sziky just got way too over-enthusiastic. It was just madness to go for a bust at that point. I don't even know what he was thinking. And that actually puts Minus Eagle back into the game, because with no contain, Minus Eagle is free to start roaming around with quite a big army again. Sziky letting a massive opportunity pretty much go begging.
Man, and it's even more confusing considering his army composition. He had so many lurkers moving in, and lurkers are just not good for busts. They don't do enough damage. He had the perfect composition of mostly lurkers, but a good core of Hydrals and Zerglings to have a contain, and then he didn't.
He just didn't seem to like contains at that moment. And And he needs to win this game. He was so far ahead. He is still ahead, but not as far ahead as he should be. He's going to go in and try and attack the Protoss Force again. And again, a nice Storm. Eagle is just so good at getting those many storms off every time. And oh, no, yet another one going down on a lot of Hydralisks. No matter how many storms Sziky manages to snipe out, there always seems to be 2 more to take its place. And yeah, Sziky's army once again getting pretty badly destroyed, and he's having to pull back and re-macro. But somehow Eagle is looking suddenly ahead, and I can't even explain this.
I can. He clumped his lurkers. He clumped his lurkers every time. Lot. And if he even after that failed bus plan, he's gonna catch the alert. Oh wow, he caught that probe transfer, but he did not get a whole lot of kills out of it. That was very unfortunate. Or very fortunate, depending on whose perspective you're looking at it from. But it looks like now he's starting a little bit of a contain. He only has 4 lurkers, though. That's not terribly strong. And man, just so much damage from these storms that didn't need to be as effective as they were. He really had a great composition to deal with what Eagle had been throwing at him. Is the storms doing so much damage? A testament, really, to Eagle as well. And now this army is going to be able to easily roll over the 3rd. Sziky sending in some of his units, trying to go in for a High Templar snipes, but really had to send most of them back to try to deal with this. And he's catching some of the Dragoons in the back because the Zealots and the Archon are in the front, so these Zerglings can be able to do a lot of good damage before the Zealots get into a correct position. That Templar does not have enough energy, dying a little bit before it could have gotten a swarm off. And it looks like Sziky will be able to get units down here in time to save it. There is still an Archon, though, with almost all of his shields left. So that's going to be able to do a good amount of damage to the Lings that come in. But now, we're just going to clean it up. Sziky, bring more units in.
This is pretty crazy. Somehow Eagle has managed to get a 3rd base up and get it well defended in the amount of time it's taken for this push to go down. Sziky's got a decent enough contain at the top of that high ground outside the natural expansion, but how long for? It's not looking that powerful, and Eagle looks like he can pretty much bide his time now that his 3rd base is nicely defended with 5 cannons in good positions taken up there. And Sziky, I can't believe how much he'd won this game and how far it slipped away from him at this point.
Yeah, and really, even if he can make this a pretty solid contain, the contain really doesn't mean much if your opponent has a safe 3rd base up. It just defeats the purpose of the contain. And Sziky, he's gearing up for an attack, it looks like, to try to take it out. There are a lot of cannons, but not so much behind it. So if Eagle's not able to get reinforcements over there very quickly, he might be able to do some good damage. There are a couple lurkers on the high ground here. Not quite in the right position, though. In the Protoss, it looks like he's just going to move around it while the Hydralisks and Zerglings take out the cannons. Trying to get the lurkers into a better position, but taking a lot of damage. There are observers there, so it's not going to be too hard to kill them. And more probes transferring in. How many is he going to lose now that all the cannons are gone? No. He really did not lose a whole lot of probes there as the Hydralisks have cleaned up, and Sziky has completely lost control of this game, down by 30 supply with such low supply for both players.
I'm sad.
Yeah.
I'm very sad. He had this one. He played cleverly, and that was what got him in such a good position. And then he did some stupid stuff. Some really stupid stuff. That one bust attempt, I can't even begin to explain why he thought that was a good idea. We see this guy take down great players week in, week out. I know he's fighting against another caliber of player again right here, but nonetheless, he should have known quite what a bad idea that really was. Minus Eagle getting slightly confused and trashing one of his own Dragoons, but 1 Dragoon at this stage, not going to make a huge difference. Sziky doing a good job of getting a positional victory right there, and does manage to take down the 3rd base, so he does still have a chance at this if he can defend off Minus Eagle's attack right here. But this is such a big attack coming in, he's going to have a very hard time of doing so, especially with such a skeleton force of units as that which he's operating on. We can see he's incredibly low on supply. He might just have the positioning to take this down, and he does maybe have what he needs to push this force back. Could he defend this attack, having taken down the 3rd base for Minus Eagle as well? He is suddenly looking like he might still be in this match. Decent storms once again, though, from Eagle mean that the attack does just manage to hold out, and the push still has some ability to move forward, and he's going to go on into the 3rd base at least. I don't think Sziky can hatch out enough links to deal with this, and yeah, it's going to go right down to the wire here. If he can defend, he might still be good. If not, then it doesn't really need saying, but it's going to be GG.
Yeah, those cracklings are doing so. We're trying to do so much damage, and they almost did. But that Archon with 25 kills really saving Eagle there from the overwhelming onslaught of the cracklings. Now more units are coming out, trying to get involved, but Eagle just has a couple too many units there. He did take out the third base, but losing his own third base does not put him on even footing. It puts him significantly behind.
But this is so frustrating because once again, we can see what an incredibly close margin it's come down to, despite the fact that Sziky has made some big mistakes after getting ahead. It's still come down to such a tiny difference. We can see that Eagle's pretty much mined out. He's barely mining at all. And I think once again, if Sziky loses this, he'll be losing to a Protoss that pretty much has no minutes. Oh, and he kills one of his own lurkers. Sziky, that is kind of the last thing you need to be doing at this point. It looks like Eagle will have the strength, again, with his dying resources to push on through what remains of Sziky. And this is just so galling to watch a player of his quality go down like this, whereas he had it all under his control. And we can see that just one slight mistake less, and he would have won this game because it really is that close.
Absolutely, and once again, Sziky may end up losing to a 70 supply Protoss who isn't mining. God, it's so depressing.
Oh, it's just annoying. It was just that close. Incredibly close. And it's all in Sziky's power. He's hatching a few extra cracklings, but damage is already done. I don't know if he can do this. I think he probably can't. He just hasn't got the cash behind him.
No, he has just sent in the cracklings piecemeal, but they're not quite doing enough. GG.
GG.
No upgrade certainly hurt there on the Lings. Wow.
Oh, I'm so sad.
On the bright side, he got crack. That's a small victory, right?
Yeah. Only a small one, though.
It's a very small one. Ah, Sziky!
It's alright, there's more. He can still do this. He's so close to being able to beat this guy. He's taken one game off him and nearly taken two more off him. It's been so incredibly, incrementally close. Just inexpressible how close it's been.
Yeah. Alright. Eagle on match point. On match point. Let's go.
Bring it on. Come on, Sziky. Please don't make me go through that again. Please just do what we know you can do and play properly. Spread out your lurkers a bit. Go wild. Just do what you know you should be doing. Spawning in the top right-hand corner as the Teal Zerg. Still carrying my hopes, and I still believe in this guy. It's ISL 3 Sziky. Yesterday's Victor versus Doty in the ISL finals, taking home a cool $1,000 to keep for himself. And in the bottom left-hand corner, spawning in as the orange Protoss, we have someone masquerading as ISL 3 Woong, but this is, of course, minus Eagle, the ex-Samsung Khan pro gamer and a well-known streamer as well in Africa. So, Sziky, please make me happy. Please make me happy.
Yeah. Man. Match point. I do like match point as a map. And man, I don't know. Sziky is so close. He was so close in game 1. Could not have come any closer. Was so close in game 4. Could not have come any closer. But just could not quite pull out those 2 wins.
Yeah.
Man. Oh.
I don't even know what to say about it. The mistakes were just deeply unnecessary and very, very frustrating. I think Sziky will be as frustrated as anybody because I think he'll know exactly what's gone wrong, but I just don't know if he's quite at the level where he can correct it yet. Fantastic player though he is, he's playing against someone of such high caliber that he's just going to pounce on every mistake Sziky makes. And at this point, he definitely knows every single one of his weaknesses.
Yep. Well, spawning pool's on the way for Sziky. Went for the overpool. Meanwhile, minus Eagle has his fort on the way. Put the gateway on top there. Makes for a very nice wall on this map.
Yeah.
And Sziky actually not even going to bother with the probe at all, just immediately throwing down the very, very far away third base at the bottom right. So
That's not uncommon on match point. You quite often see that.
no, not terribly. And it looks like Sziky, despite be going for an overpull, will only be getting 2 lings. The probe did not. Oh, probe's going back now. Oh, it almost fell exactly how Sziky wanted it to. And the probe leaves and then thinks that the lings are about to hatch, and then overreacts with cannons. But no, Minus Eagle should know that he'll actually be able to get down, get away from one cannon.
And that's what he's going to do, laying down 1 cannon, putting this gateway down now as well. So no shenanigans coming out of Sziky, nothing crazy coming out of Eagle. So he's able to progress exactly as he would want to. And Zyky's third base is on its way up now. So it's going to be a little while before we see the real divergence. What would you imagine Sziky to do, just if you had to place conjecture?
I don't know. Gut reaction is he's going to fall back right into Mutalisk play, but really, his early aggression has worked out for him in these games. So, at the same time, I really wouldn't be surprised to see him go for Hydralisk, but no. In fact, he is getting a lair, so it looks like Sziky will settle back into the gameplay he knows for his showmatch life here, and try to win with his Mutalisks, win with his later gameplay.
Yeah. Well, I'd like that. I'd like to see Sziky win. That made me happy. It's not going to be a Ling victory, however, because of course Minus Eagle is safely defended at the front using the Cybernetics core in his wall-in, which he is safe to do given that the Lings, if they do happen, are going to be quite late. But that's a nice wall-in. It is effective. So yeah, not going to be an early Ling victory, at least for Sziky. Looks like he's... I was about to say for some reason considering a hatchery, not a hatchery, a sport... I can't even get my words out anymore. A creep colony is his natural, but he's just using that drone to begin mining at his natural expansion. And the probe, still doing the annoying scouting activities, now has a full handle on exactly what Sziky's doing. So no surprise to this game for Minus Eagle. I think after the way last game almost went, he'll want to be so incredibly thorough with his scouting, with his preparation for every eventuality.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird considering all the strategies we've seen so far, that in this game both players are settling in to a standard play, as it could not be getting any more standard from these 2 players. Sziky's Spire and at almost 300 hit points, speed finishing up for him, and Eagle has a Stargate down, and the Citadel should be down soon. There it is, Citadel down. It's a little bit late with that, and a bit of an excess, but it's fine. Really not going to change too much from him.
Yeah, just looking around. Okay, the spire is halfway done. So I'm curious to see whether Sziky... It looks like he might well be saving it for mutas. I think that's maybe what... Okay, no, he's not saving it for mutas. He's just going to go spend crazy. So he's going to go straight for Scourge here and going to transition fairly standard and expected. Link speed kicks in, but no way in for the Zerglings right here. He thought he maybe could experiment with that gap on the left-hand side, but of course that gap, whilst looking huge and gaping and cavernous, it is Ling tight, so no dice right there for Sziky and his Sziky Lings. And looking like he's preparing to go into a... I would have thought it would be a DT mid-game because we don't have any Zealot speed happening as of yet, but he is throwing down a second gateway before he makes his Templar Archives, so a little bit of an interesting decision there. Maybe he's going to try some slow Zealot pressure again, because it seems to have worked out fairly well for him so far.
Literally in the middle of your sentence saying he's not getting speed, he started speed. So...
Oh. Damn.
Commentator's curse. He will in fact be going for standard stuff, but it's a little bit weird. He was more delayed on the Citadel than it needed to be. Now add that to the time that he was delayed with actually getting the Zealot speed compared to what he needed to be. A little bit not quite perfect on the build order, but first Mutalisks are out for Sziky. Only 3 of them though. He did not have a lot of money to be able to build them immediately. I'm interested in exactly how many he's going to get. It could be a little bit of a ruse, as I don't see any more Mutalisks coming up, despite the fact he has money for it, and just trying to trick Eagle into making too many cannons for defense.
I don't doubt that that's what's in his mind. It's definitely not a concerted attempt with mutas. I'm not quite sure what it is, but that's definitely what it's not. He doesn't seem too keen to try and do any damage with this. Eagle now trapping a probe behind his mineral line in his main just so he can make the Corsairs stack up in a little bit more of a satisfactory way. Much in the same way as you would use an Overlord to stack up your Mutalisks. He has produced a fair number of Mutas. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Mutas in total, so maybe he's just planning to build them up slowly. I don't know. It would be a bit of an odd strategy, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I really don't think he's going to go for too many Mutalisks. I think he just wanted to see if he could do damage with 3, and then he's going to give up after that. But there are a lot of Corsairs out right now. And going with the Mutalisks, going to... Oh, nice bomb with the Mutalisks, distracting the Corsairs, getting those Scourge hits in. And now, all the Corsairs are going to be attacking the Mutalisks because they want to give the Zealots a chance. They will be able to take out all of them, except for one. No, it looks like the Corsairs will actually be able to take out all of the Mutalisks.
Oh no!
And the Zealots are coming in now. Those sunken colonies are going to go down very easily. This is not an easy base to SimCity in the least. Oh no, Sziky.
Eagle definitely knew that when he scouted this and prepared this precise build. And I think Sziky is in a world of trouble right now. And Sziky leads with no GG.
Oh man.
I'm so sad. So very, very sad.
Oh man, no GG.
And that's Sziky loses in a style which he didn't need to lose in at all, against a well-prepared Korean ex-pro gamer in Minus Eagle. Congratulations to Eagle for taking him down. Congratulations to Sziky for making it to this stage, making it this far, and then creditably taking 1 game off a very high-level Korean player, and so almost taking 2 more. So incredibly close.
Yeah, this series very, very easily could be 3-2 right now with Ziky's advantage. Game 1 and Game 4 were just on the edge, but Ziky's gonna lose it.
Yeah.
I do have a winner's interview from Minus Eagle. Would you like me to just read both parts, or would you like me to send you the script and we could do some year one drama
send me
stuff?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
All right. I have way too many Skype windows open from my franticness earlier, so there you are.
Let's send it over. Let's do this. Who do you want to be?
I don't care.
You don't care.
I don't care.
Okay. You interview me. I'll pretend I'm Korean sexy boy.
All right, you can be Korean sexy boy.
Yes.
If you can't get that, I'll just copy paste the interview into the Skype window.
All right, I got it.
You got it?
I think this is the whole thing.
It is not terribly long from my perspective.
Okay,
so.
yeah. Okay, we're good then. We're good.
All right. So, Korean sexy boy, after playing Sziky, how do you feel about the games? Is there a new level of respect for our ability, or were you taking it easy on him?
I played a lot of practice games with Sziky before, so I knew his skill level already. In Korea, you can become a professional gamer after you achieve a semi-pro gamer title, and his skill level was better than a semi-pro gamer. Yes, go Sziky. Yes.
Go yourself. Stay in character, man.
Yes, go me. No, I'm Korean sexy boy.
Oh. Then why are you cheering for Sziky? Never mind.
I don't know.
I messed up.
Go. Right, okay. Get shit at this.
Game 1 was one of the best ZVPs I've seen in a long time. Do you think you played well in that game? Did it make you focus and play harder during all the next games?
I played so many best of matches and believe that the first game is the most important game of those best ofs. That gets explained. I'm also planning to do that. I wanted to give viewers a strong impression. I don't quite understand. Okay. I tried my best and focused.
Alright. Game 4, you were very close to death, but Sziky didn't capitalize. What was going through your mind at that time, and excuse me, and what did you... What was going through your mind at that time, and what did you know that you had to do to win each of that game?
For the 4th game, as you saw, I stormed on the lurkers. Sziky dropped on my base right away, which I never expected, and I thought I had lost that game, but it was very lucky for me. I tried to use as many builds as possible most of the time.
I'd like to thank you sincerely for playing in this show match and honoring us with some great games and your presence. Are there any final comments you'd like to make about everything that occurred with this show match, or the future of Eagle in 4 and Brood War?
I didn't experience that much in the professional scene, so I am thankful for this opportunity. I would like to participate in the next ISL tournament, but since it's impossible, I had a great experience in this show match. And I am Korean Sexy Boy.
All right. So, that is the interview. That is the show match.
And yeah, you heard it here, guys. Sziky is better than a semi-pro gamer. I mean, that's coming straight from the Korean pro camp. He knows his stuff. So never doubt Sziky. Never doubt foreign power.
Yeah. And this is kind of weird because for the past 6 months, this is the time in the cast where I say, check me out next week when I cast something, but
just keep your eyes open, I guess.
Yeah,
everybody keep your eyes open for future events, and there's going to be more. No doubt there's going to be more. So just hang on, and more Brood War coming at you very, very soon, I'm sure. Yeah, we're all done with ISL 3 now.
Yeah.
Feels sad.
I don't have anything on the horizon. Do you have any plans to cast like the rest of SAS Tour or ASL or something?
I'm sure I'll pick some stuff up.
But nothing set in stone for people to look out
Nothing
for?
set. I'll be doing ASL. Of course, I'll be doing ASL. So yeah, look out for my stream weekly. I'll be casting the rest of the Amateur Star League, which has shown some good stuff so far, and we're going to move on to the round of 4 next week. So be sure to check that out. But apart from that, I believe we just have to say our goodbyes right now until next time.
Yeah. I'm not allowed to talk about anything yet, but there definitely is more high-level Brood War on the way. Do not fear.
Don't worry, guys. We got this. We got it covered.
All right. Thanks everybody for watching.
Yeah, and I'd like to give one final thanks to especially to our sponsor, Altitude, who really stepped up, gave the tournament its fantastic name, and made it doubly possible. And I'd also like to extend big thanks to all the other sponsors who made this possible too, who are, of course, Sales Viewers, Fairyland, Twitch TV, Noise, Prowler, Nobopolis, Ruskig, Trap, and Coram Jehalan. So thank you, all you guys, and we'll be seeing you again soon.